You see it everywhere, right? On restaurant menus, your boarding pass, posters on the street, that little black and white square. But, behind that simple pattern is this incredible story of industrial innovation, a global payments revolution, and a future that's, well, it's both brilliant and a little bit dangerous. So let's get into it. All right, for this explainer, we're going to go on a journey through time. We'll start out on the factory floor, right where the QR code was born. Then we'll see how it fueled this massive payment revolution in India and kind of snuck into our daily lives. And finally, we'll look at the security threats it brings up and, of course, what's next for this incredible little square.
And that really brings us to the big question, doesn't it? How on earth did this humble invention designed for a super specific problem in a car factory become a technology that powers entire economies and touches pretty much every part of modern life? Let's find out.
To get the full story, we have to rewind the clock all the way back to the early 1990s. The challenge back then wasn't paying for your coffee. It was about building cars way more efficiently. Okay, so the core problem Toyota was facing was that their whole manufacturing system was getting totally bogged down by old-school barcodes. I mean, can you imagine having to scan 10 different barcodes for just one car part? It was slowing everything down. Those little lines could only hold about 20 characters of information. The QR code, it can hold around 7,000, and it reads 10 times faster. This wasn't just an improvement, it was a total game changer on the factory floor. So how did they crack the code? Literally? Well, in 1992, a team at Denso Wave, which is a part of Toyota, started a project to build something better. The big aha moment came when an engineer named Masahiro Hara was on his lunch break. He looked at the black and white patterns on a Go board, and it just clicked. A two-dimensional grid was the answer. By 1994, the Quick Response, or QR, code was officially born.
Okay, so let's fast forward to the present, because this is where the story gets truly revolutionary. The QR code didn't stay on the factory floor for very long. Nope, it was about to become the engine of a global economic transformation.
The most stunning example of the QR code's power has to be India's digital payment revolution. But it didn't just happen out of nowhere. It was built on these three massive pillars, something they called the Jam Trinity. First, you get everybody a bank account. Second, you give everyone a universal digital ID. And third, the final piece, you make sure everyone has a mobile phone. That combination created the perfect launchpad for what came next. And we're not talking about a small change here. As India's finance minister Nirmala Sitharaman put it, this whole framework catapulted our banking to a different level altogether. It completely reshaped the country's financial landscape. So, with that foundation ready, India launched the Unified Payments Interface, or UPI, back in 2016. It's basically a system that lets you send money instantly using just your phone. And the scale, it's just mind-boggling. Get this. In a single recent month, the system processed over 21 billion transactions. To put that number into perspective, UPI now handles almost half of all real-time payment transactions on the entire planet. It's the biggest system of its kind in the world, and it's not even close. And the value? We're talking over 28 lakh crore rupees in just 1 month. That's more than 340 billion US dollars. Think about that. From street vendors to big stores, the QR code became the gateway to a cashless economy for hundreds of millions of people. This chart right here tells the whole story perfectly. Yeah, you see that insane growth, but look closer. See that orange line? That's payments to businesses. Watch how it just soars past the blue line, which is just people sending money to each other. That is the critical shift. It shows UPI going from just a simple way to pay a friend back to becoming the actual engine of Indian commerce. But this isn't just about payments in India. The QR code has quietly woven itself into our lives everywhere. In a hospital, a quick scan of a wristband can pull up a patient's entire medical history. Airlines use them to track your bags all over the world. And pretty soon, by 2026, the EU is going to require them for product passports, so you can scan an item and see its entire journey, from factory to shelf. So what's next? Well, as the QR code gets more and more powerful, it also faces some serious new challenges. But it's also on the edge of some really incredible innovations. Okay, first, let's talk about the threat. It's called quishing. That's a mashup of QR and phishing. Basically, attackers create fake QR codes that send you to fraudulent websites to steal your passwords or your money. And the really clever part? Because the code is an image, it just sails right past a lot of the security filters that are designed to look for suspicious text links. And believe me, this is not a small problem.
The data is pretty stark. Quishing incidents absolutely exploded, growing 5 times over in just 3 months. It's a huge threat because it attacks the one thing that makes QR codes work, our trust in them.
So here's the absolute core of the problem. A QR code is a visual blind spot. You can look at a web link and get a sense of where it's going, right? But with a QR code, you have absolutely no idea what's hidden inside that pattern until after you've already scanned it. And that's exactly what the attackers are banking on. But the future isn't all bad news, not by a long shot. The code itself is getting a major upgrade. Innovations like multicolor QR codes are already being developed. These are going to dramatically increase how much data they can hold, maybe enough to embed an entire document or a secure certificate right into the code itself.
And to fight back against threats like quishing, the next generation of codes will have security baked right in. I mean, imagine a QR code that needs your fingerprint or a face scan just to work. This could be huge for super secure, even offline identity checks for things like banking or getting your medical records. And finally, the code is even getting an artistic makeover. AI can now generate these beautiful custom QR codes that don't look like a random jumble of squares anymore. They can blend right into a company's logo or a piece of art, turning something purely functional into a piece of design. So we've gone from the floor of a Toyota factory to the busy street markets of India, and now into a future with new risks, but also incredible potential. It's been one heck of a journey for a simple black and white square. The only question left is, what problem is it going to solve next?